Let's go. It's going to be a good one. I'm so excited to see what we are going to get from these teams because, yes, we have seen LCK. Yes, we have seen the EU LCS and the LPL and these leagues around the world, but we don't know what the interpretation of the meta has been in the NA LCS, and it has been very different in between these leagues. When you look at the LCK, the prevalence of these non-standard, non-marksman bottom lanes is much higher than that of, say, the LPL, where they're running still almost exclusively marksman and still consider that to be the strongest. And I'm of the opinion that both strategies can work depending upon which you are better at. There are still some very, very strong marksmen. Lucian, I think, is kind of the king in the bot lane, but you still have Ezreal, Draven, I think Kog'Maw, Ashe, even Varus and things like this, Kaisa, that can be very powerful. So going to be pretty excited to see what these guys are going to go with. Doublelift definitely strikes me as someone who would be wanting to stick more to marksman. He's literally never played a non-marksman in his career as that bot lane position.
Right, yeah.
But this, if there was a time to kind of buck that trend, this would be it.
This would be it. So here we go. First pick for Team Liquid. What do they think not only is most important for them, but what read do they have of what 100 Thieves wants to draft? Because if, of course, the pick isn't contested, you can wait a little while to pick that one up. Rakan, the first hover, and Ole, almost definitely, that is likely to not be a flex. Rakan, the first one of the game.
And Zyra is still fairly popular as well, another marksman that I didn't actually answer, but a lot of the picks that have been super high priority are things like Aurelia because they can go in multiple lanes. Even the jungle basically can be played almost every role. Camille has been hugely popular as a flex pick there too. We have been seeing in a lot of things like Vladimir and Ryze and some of the other regions going bot lane, going top lane, playing mid as well. So flex picks have been one of the most important things on this new patch because it makes it so difficult to really answer your opponent's picks in the drafts. If there's a Darius and a Ryze and a Vladimir and whatever, you don't really know where everything is going, so it can make it more difficult to actually pick the proper matchups.
Absolutely, and just to set expectations during this champs, like about half of all games so far in Pro have been standard versus standard, roughly to that degree right here. So if we just see, Doublelift and Cody Sun bring out Ashe and Varus, and you've got pretty much normal tanks everywhere else, that is, again, about half of all games, and I think we'll see something come out throughout the day, but again, it's up to these teams practicing in secret, hiding the traps from one another, and then hoping they come out with the right strategy on day one.
Exactly. I mean, this could very well be a Trundle jungle here for Meteos. That's my assumption there. It could just be Aurelia top or mid, which was a more traditional flex pick for this champion. Ryu or Someday definitely could both be playing that. But it also could go straight bot to Cody Sun. We could see that mix up, and Camille, another very, very powerful flex pick, as I was talking about. Smithy could certainly be piloting that. You can see that in the bottom lane. You can see that in the top lane. And Zyra will be the lock-in for TL. So will be a standard bottom lane, tried and true here for Doublelift and Ole, at least for game number 1.
It will, and of course we have seen even over in Korea a super Camille strategy where there was a supportive mid. I think it was Braum played alongside Camille, and Camille jungle got all the farm, helped take over the game. That was actually a counterpick to a Master Yi, but these sorts of flexes are still available for Team Liquid. We'll have to wait and see, of course, as they do have a pretty standard bot lane. And now with 100 Thieves, that could be Aurelia mid, Vladimir top, or it could be Aurelia or Vladimir in the bottom lane, and we'll wait to see what 100 Thieves thinks is optimal.
Yeah, 100 Thieves is striking me much more like they are going to go for those atypical bot lanes, like they are going to kind of do this. We've been seeing a ton of Vladimir bot in pro play, actually more Vladimir bot than really in the standard solo lanes, and Aurelia could be going a number of different places here. Definitely could be in the solo lane, could be bot as well, but it's looking like TL, I think especially with their style of play, it makes more sense for them to play relatively standard. I am expecting Impact to still be on a tank. You could theoretically put Pobelter on a support mid and then have that power farming Camille, or he could just be on a Zoe or something along those lines and play it quite standard.
Right, and Impact could be the Camille. We haven't seen any jungler mid pick yet. There is a lot to go through, and of course that's hard for 100 Thieves. They're banning Lulu, not even knowing if that's a viable champion for Team Liquid right now. If it's something they've even practiced, but it is off the table here. Alistair banned away from Afromove. Of course, that Trundle could go support, but wait to be seen what this one is about. And yeah, just to kind of talk again about the topic of are the teams going to play non-standard or not, because, playing typical marksman, typical mage is a completely viable strategy. It's not that these teams didn't try, it's that they thought, yeah, playing Zyra is our best first foot forward.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think that the win rates have shown that marksman is a totally viable way to play this meta still. A lot of teams have been very, very successful playing almost exclusively marksman. Some of the teams are having success playing the non-standard lanes. Others, notably SKT, a lot of people are seeing they're trying all this crazy stuff. None of it is working for them. So it is not the only way to play. A lot of the meta takes getting taken off the table, though. Ornn and Singed both gone for Impact. Could push him down a little bit. Another thing that we have seen kind of rising up in the top lane that wasn't really talked about much on the desk is Darius. Darius has become much more popular in the top lane, and Impact, as a guy who loves to blind pick tanks, someday as a guy who has actually played Darius in competitive, that is certainly an option there. Leona as the pick, and we still don't know. This still could just be solo lane Aurelia Vlad, jungle Trundle, Leona plus X bot lane. But Leona bot does make me feel like we are going to have a Leona Aurelia or a Leona Vladimir. That is kind of more my assumption. Those are very strong all-in lanes. Also, the fact that, Cody Sun is actually sitting on Ghost leads me to believe that he might be the one, perhaps playing the Vladimir there. Could be pretty interesting, but Galio could be mid, could be top. Is going to pair really well for the Camille, whether that goes jungle or top. We know that the Ultimatum plus Grand Entrance combo there, Heroic Entrance rather, is a very, very powerful combo. And this could be blind pick Aatrox top, which is gaining a lot of popularity across the world. Really considered a very good matchup into pretty much all tanks. It's very, very good counter pick into GP. Has a lot of really, really strong matchups, honestly. And let's go.
Game number 1 of the summer split, and alphabetical champion number 1, Aatrox in the top lane for Impact. And I want to see what Someday picks up against it here.
There is still a small chance that you see Aatrox jungle. I have seen it a little bit, but definitely expecting it to be Aatrox top, Galio mid, Camille jungle, looking fairly standard for TL. Only real change here from last split would be that Galio and Jace, if that gets locked in. I have seen...
Renekton.
So it's gonna be the non-standard bot. My guess is it's gonna be Vladimir plus Leona bot. We'll see how they want to actually swap it around. There is the possibility to just kind of go different options there, but expecting to be Trundle jungle. So maybe Aurelia plus the Leona bot. This is very, very interesting.
I mean, any one of those three could go alongside Leona because you're facing Xayah Rakan, and if you think you can go for all-in burst damage, then an early game fighter like an Aurelia, like Renekton, you can stun combo that. But if you need Vladimir to be your primary carry, maybe you give him a little bit of an easier lane. I mean, against Galio, of course, that's not too hard, but 5 seconds to go until lock-ins are guaranteed. Teams can swap up until that 20-second mark. Vladimir in the bottom lane, Aurelia mid, and Renekton will be the pick to answer Aatrox top.
So this is what I was most expecting. Vladimir plus Leona is a very strong combo. That makes the most sense with the picks that I was seeing, and Leona, did kind of lend itself towards running these sorts of bottom lanes. Someday on the Renekton, definitely a very heavy lane bully, can match up well against the Aatrox, but in my experience, Aatrox certainly can take over in later stages, and one of the real strengths of Aatrox is diving with the Bloodwell passive. You essentially have that built-in GA, and when you add a Camille plus Galio, that could really be Someday getting picked on in the top lane, trying to snowball Impact on this Aatrox and take over through top.
And be a crazy split push. He's going to have solo XP and might have a really good time fighting those one-on-ones later in the game or being a disruptive front line, but it is roughly 4 melee plus a Xayah for Team Liquid and 4 melee plus Vladimir for 100 Thieves. No marksman here for the red side. The runners-up the North American LCS, and they've got Cody Sun playing an all-new champion in their inaugural game of the 2018 Summer Split. Well, in their second split as a team, a brand new roster made it to finals. A great run by pretty much everyone's considerations, and it's already crazy. Vladimir's got an ancient coin. I think Cody Sun's playing a supportive mid or something.
It's definitely possible that he's going to roll swap, but I have also just seen Vladimir straight up actually just go coin and share farm and do some wacky things there.
Okay, I missed that then.
But yeah, we'll have to find out. I'm still expecting, especially with the cleanse, that it is going to be Ryu mid and just kind of this coin bot Vladimir. It's instead of something like a Doran shield or whatever, and if you're not actually feeling that you are pressured early on, it can give you a little bit of an income boost. Haven't seen it a lot, but I have seen it a little. And this is going to be a very exciting first game. One of the things I will say is that when you are running a marksman into these kind of atypical bot lanes, things like the Vladimir and Leona, if the Vladimir and Leona start to really fall behind, it can be much more difficult for them to actually come back into the game because you start to get pushed in, you start to get poked out. It can be difficult to actually keep up and farm, and if you can't all in with these sorts of comps, like this is, I mean, it's not, Vladimir is not a melee champion, but it's 4 melees and essentially, another diver.
Yeah.
You have to be able to win fights, right? The wave clear is not good. It's not safe on 100 Thieves. So that makes the early game so much more important. And when you're playing a competition like this, if you fall behind, there is very little fallback pattern besides just grouping and fighting and hope you win.
So early game important for 100 Thieves. That is something we've definitely noticed watching pro play so far this year. Wave clear, much weaker. Inhibitor and Nexus turrets more fragile. Baron Nashor deals a lot less damage to champions, making it easier to take in a lot of cases. If you get behind, these games can end sometimes very quickly. Gotta watch for this early game pathing. Meteos, of course, we've got the new buffed up Scuttle Crabs as well, with a lot more XP and gold, roughly equivalent to a red or blue buff kill. And looks like neither one's gonna be contested as the Camille's going to the one on the top side of the map.
That's something Olay is going to have to actually be very careful about. Really playing against Vladimir in the early stages, almost all of his kind of threat, as we're going to see them go in.
Yeah, pretty good damage there. He's always going to die right away! Level 1 double if an Olay get a kill already.
I mean, that is a squishy Vladimir. He did not start the door and shield, so he has no HP from his starting item there. No defensive stats whatsoever. They do not back off at level 2. Combo is landed, and he's just gone.
Cody just didn't flash the knockup, saving it for the next one maybe, but that's normally Double's forte. And this one, now to watch as the mid lane fight comes in, and Liquid look angry. That's Ryu down very low in health already.
Starting where they left off in the finals, a really good couple early minutes here for TL. And as I said, it can be so difficult, you know, as these lanes, if you do fall behind. I mean, that's first blood to the bottom lane, straight onto Doublelift on this marksman. And here it is one more time, just not actually expecting perhaps this all in. There's level 2. They needed to know that this was coming. The root is landed, and that is just a straight up dead Cody Sun.
Yeah.
You need to either flash the root, flash the engage, or as you have to in almost every other aggressive matchup, when they're gonna get level 2 and you're not, you back off. Like that is, you know, bot lane standard. So to me, that is just a straight up mistake and something that is not about playing Vladimir. That is just about playing bot lane.
You can see the last time we saw Aatrox a good 4.5 years ago. He is back, ready to go, and just in time for his rework, of course. So
he's been powering up.
Yep, he's been getting better, and here we go to the top lane fight. A nice chain stun comes through, but also fight on the bottom side. This could be double, and Cody Sun grabs that kill. A nice gank coming through for Meteos, making that one happen, as someday it would walk away with his flash burn.
Yeah, nicely done there for Meteos, getting down to the bottom side of the map. And remember, this is Doublelift with TP. He does not have a heal to perhaps, you know, get him out of that situation. He will not list farm because he can TP back, but that was a critical gank for Meteos to pull off because it gets Cody Sun back to a stage where he can be relevant in this lane, where he picks up a kill, he picks up some gold, and his next phase, he'll be able to get something.
I'm going to shove this wave in right now. Double though able to get that pickaxe recall thanks to the first blood he got earlier, so he's pretty okay sitting in lane for a little while. Pobelter, level 5, looks to make sure there's no early Trundle solo on the Ocean Break. We've seen that happen before, but with the bot lane having priority. Nice move there. Watch this fight again. Meteos right behind them.
Yeah, this is just really well done for Meteos. He's actually saving the pillar until after the flash is expended, and that is just really well done. Knowing that Doublelift will have to flash, locks him in after the summoner is used, guaranteeing that kill, and just a good job there from Meteos, getting this bot lane back into it.
Even a nice play by Cody Sun. He actually ghosted to get in melee range for Sanguine Pool to get more slows going once he got out of the pillar. So the three of them all put in their crowd control. Again, I think the kill went to the right person with the Cody Sun Vladimir having it. We've got ourselves a still 500 gold difference in this game as Impact walks by a ward looking near mid.
Yeah, and so far, Smithy did try to gank top, at the same time. Obviously wasn't able to actually convert on that kill, but I tend to think that Aatrox can outscale this Renekton in the 1v1, so it's going to be more about, like, can Impact actually survive? Can he farm up and really be successful later? And we have to watch a lot for Smithy and Pobelter 6, because that is when you really can see this three-man squad set up plays very well, because Aatrox stacks up his passive, he has the blood well, he takes aggro, and you dive onto that Renekton.
We'll see, of course, he's not yet level 6, so the tank stats aren't there. The ultimate, of course, a pretty important survival tool for that champion. Level 4s across the board now in this bottom lane as Cody Sun and Doublelift are splitting farm pretty closely, only a 5 farm difference. Talk about some of the mechanics of the coin, even though, of course, it can give you mana regen, not the best thing on Vlad. The fact that it gives move speed could be a pretty big deal as well.
Yeah.
We'll see as his build progresses.
Yeah, and I mean, just from his coin, he's actually earned 126 gold already, right? So it is just kind of like a greedier start. Like, I see it, Vladimir starting coin, somewhat akin to an AD carry starting cult, right? It's something where he obviously wasn't expecting to really be under pressure and die. That went wrong, but
happens.
That's kind of the investment or the bet that he was perhaps making. It's also interesting to note that Doublelift is going lethal tempo, which is something that we didn't really used to see very much on Xayah. So this is something that has been buffed a number of times over the last couple of patches, and is, I would say, extremely strong in the mid and kind of later game stages. And again, if you don't need fleet footwork, which has been nerfed a few times to actually get through the laning phase, then hey, it can really up your DPS later on.
Yeah, it's definitely a very good team fight damage sword right there. It's nice for Xayah because you can use your Qs and things to like trigger the in-combat mechanism and then pull up with auto attacks afterwards. Someday you can see running away as Impact pushes him out. Level 6 on both these top laners and about equal farm here.
And pretty much any time Impact gets his actual like passive active when he has that full blood well, Someday has to just back off and respect that.
Ooh, this is going to be dangerous. Trundle's right in front of him. The pillar not going to come in time to stop the Q over, but he's still running for his life. He's got flash. He's going to get over the wall, and the chase in for Someday. And his blast comes back out.
Yeah, has to use his flash. Will get out of there, though, but yeah, all the bonus stats you actually get when that blood well is fully active. You get a lot of extra attack speed there, and you do become kind of pretty powerful with that actual passive active. Plus, you obviously have a GA built in as well. It is looking like he's going to be rushing towards the Titanic. This is something that people have been doing pretty commonly. The build I've been seeing most on the Aatrox is actually a Titanic rush into a Rage Blade. There are some different options you can go from there. If you want to go more for the dueling power, people are going to play the Rune King. You can split off and go into Black Cleaver and these sorts of things. So definitely some options, but new pick in the top lane and one that has really been doing well across the pro scene.
Absolutely the case here, and Impact, of course, notably known for being best on tanks. If he can actually survive and do well on fighters, that is a good look for Team Liquid. It's something that we had seen fans malign them for. And Ole takes the Gromp. Thank you very much.
It doesn't always mean the most in the grand scheme of things, but it feels so bad. And Meteos actually, I think he would have got 6 off that. So that's actually a big deal if they can force a fight right now, because this is a Trundle without his ultimate.
And a control ward means actually a vision deficit. Yeah, Meteos is smiteless for a few more seconds. There the blue resets. This could even be a buff steal. Pobelter has the ultimate available, not in range just yet, but good try to join.
And Smithy is trying to wait for Pobelter to get in range here, I think, before he wanted to make any plays. And Pobelter has actually opened up a pretty big lead in the mid lane. Once he picks up all this farm, it's over 20 CS ahead here for Pobelter in that 1v1. And Galio is going to be problematic for the 100 Thieves team. You essentially have 5 men trying to dive in, and then a Galio to answer that. And Ryu roaming top.
Might only need 2 in this time. They're going to chain together some of the CC. Here comes the Galio over on the wrong side of the wall, though. The Bear's still coming across for Impact the taunt, and now he's going to be able to revive. That's a pretty important timer now. 2 versus 2 continues. A big stun. The damage coming across. That's a kill answered back. 100 Thieves on the board of their second.
Yeah, nice roam up there from Ryu. Was answered by Pobelter, but kind of an awkward fight because Impact was A, already low, B, didn't have his flash, and then it looked like the Galio ultimate, he's actually separated from him because of where that landed in. So a bit of an awkward fight here for TL, and this is Impact flashless. Ryu trying to make the punish. Actually does land the stun there from Someday, kind of guaranteeing the next one, and then you'll see that Galio landing over the wall, not immediately able to help, has to expend his flash, has to get in there. Thankfully for Impact, he did actually get that passive to proc, but they didn't have enough damage left in the tank to actually turn that one around.
And at that point, Pobelter out of cooldowns, couldn't put any more damage towards the Irelia. An easy walk away for Ryu. This means this game is only 500 apart. Doublelift has opened up a farm lead in the bottom lane. He's going towards what I'm going to guess to be Storm Razor. I think it's the only VS Sword pickaxe item that I can rack my brain around, but that'll be a quick early power spike for him.
Yeah, going to be going early for that Storm Razor. I'll be curious to see if he decides to get an early Executioners or anything like that to help heal the Vladimir. The Trundle also has quite a bit of healing. Even the Q resets for Irelia is quite a bit of healing. Renekton has Q healing, so there's a lot in there. And I do think healing a debuff could be a pretty worthwhile investment. Cody's son here, wondering if he is going for a straight death cap rush, or if it is actually, I can't even think of the name because no one buys it, but the one that has all the charges and speed.
Yeah, no, I actually started seeing it a lot on the Vladimir pickups when Shirelia's got changed to cost more. They started going over towards a Spellbinder's Orb. Spellbinder's Orb, it's a bunch of ability power, it's a bunch of movement speed.
Probably the rush.
And an active move speed. It's basically, new Shirelia's, but it does the same things for Vladimir. That's my expectation here. I don't think Death Cap Rush is mathematically that great.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And they're going to try to return to the top side here
3v1
for Impact, and he's just going to get pushed off. I mean, he can't actually approach this.
Yeah, he's sitting around. He can see all of them, and this is going to be, first turret should be going to 100 Thieves if it doesn't get stopped too much. Nope, that is going over, and it will give local gold to Meteos. If it doesn't die too fast, it actually gets aggroed back, and okay, Someday's going to walk over, take the swipe, and there we go, 650 gold, top lane advantage Someday, and that was just in time as the bot lane now goes to the engage, a chain stun coming down, and Ole had no chance to do anything.
Ole just got deleted there, but Smithy roaming down to the bottom side, and that was so critical to get the top lane turret because the bottom lane here for TL was so very close to knocking down their own really nice Rift Herald take from Meteos does actually pay pretty big dividends, and then you see that burst combo really paying off in the bottom side. Like when you look at the Thunderlord's proc there, on top of Aftershock damage coming out, the Ignite coming through, the ultimate powered Q, like there's a tremendous amount of burst down on Olay, and we're going to see him go a bit more of a tanky build to try to deal with that, looking like he's moving towards an Aegis, perhaps an early Locket. Here it is one more time from Olay, but stun into the ultimate from Leona, the actual Thunderlord's proc coming out there, plus the Aftershock damage. Like, that is a lot of burst all at once, and he's going to have to tank up a bit. You can see a Double is respecting that also. Rushing an early QSS does not want to be a victim of the same thing.
Yeah, that's actually pretty threatening right there. He's going to deal with a lot of chain crowd control, and of course, Alfred did not have to burn even Flash to make that happen, so he can go for a Flash Q to pretty much guarantee a combo if he's ever in that range. We're both going to go over to Expedited this game. Now 1,000 lead for 100 Thieves. Top lane, though, is where a lot of that gold is right now. Individually, he's up a sizable amount because of first turret. 800 right there onto that one. Bot lane turret, though, likely to fall to Doublelift and Olay as they come down with the minion wave.
Yeah, they will knock down this turret. The Galio even threatening the roam. Smithy in the area there as well. Smithy has been farming up pretty heavily and hasn't really been able to get involved in too much just yet, though. Really one kind of gank around the top side that didn't pan out, one threaten on the blue buff that didn't pan out. But I want to start seeing TL use this Camille ultimate plus the Galio ultimate. That is such a core component of their composition, especially with the Rakan backing that up. Like, you have such powerful engage that you want to be pulling the trigger on that pretty much every time it's up and trying to look for picks, trying to look for kills in these pickoffs.
See if they can find that. Of course, one of the nerfs to Galio over the last several months was a heavily increased cooldown on the ultimate. Of course, it is available right now. He's got the access to use the tools, but if 100 Thieves can force bad engages, it's kind of off the map for a long time every once in a while. No CDR yet in the build. You can see him going for Rod of Ages first, so it is going to be that full extended cooldown at the time being. It's still only level 10 on this Galio. 100 Thieves collecting around this bottom river right now. Control it in there as well means they can start going for this Mountain Drake potentially.
Also going to be interesting to see where Pobelter actually goes with his build from here. Last time we kind of saw the Galio in competitive play, it was mostly full AP that people were going, but I tend to think that in a game like this, you already have enough damage. You have Aatrox, Camille, you have the Xayah. All you need to do is survive and peel, and for that, maybe a tanky CDR build would make more sense.
Absolutely could be right here as the Drake is going down to about 1500 HP. Ole goes in, the team's going for the Ard engage. Can this fight work well? Galio's on top of it all. Giant top, but the Dragon goes over to 100 Thieves. Now Summoner's in the front line. First kill comes over to Impact. That's a 1-for-0 for Team Liquid. Now the re-engage as Impact runs away. He can revive if he needs to, but the Aurelia kill in the mid lane is a 1-for-1. So a 4v4 in the team, but Xfinity far away from his team, far from the base, still being chased down. Can the Trundle do it? Someday Will Expected finds his first kill of the game, and the retreat now for Team Liquid. They lost an extra one in the fight, and the Drake's still over 100 Thieves. Advantage of the red team.
And nicely done there by 100 Thieves. The TPs come in, they are able to come out on top, and the engage was not really that well timed out for TL. It didn't feel like they had the damage in place to actually follow up on that Rakan ultimate coming through, and Doublelift's still sitting on his ult. They're actually looking for a pick on Someday.
Find the knock-up. He's got an Empowered Q. Ignite is on as well. Someday going to try to find the backline, deal some damage to Doublelift. He gets close. Forces the ult out, but Doublelift able to get the kill with the support.
Yeah, that early Black Cleaver, and now it's the roam coming down here from 100 Thieves. Ryu is looking. He is behind this bottom lane. I think Doublelift's days are numbered.
300 health, no root available. Flash the Q. The slow's going to be on the stun's going to land, but there's not any follow-through left available. And here's Galio looking to buy a bit of time, but a quick cleanse gets the Aurelia out of the fight. A nice try, a trade of flashes.
Ridiculously close there for Doublelift. Nice flash. Barely able to get away from Ryu, who expended both of his summoners to try to pick up that kill on the back end of the fight. And this is a very, very close one. And we do have the Spellbinder actually complete now for Cody Stun, so he's on his first power spike. And here's the fight one more time. We'll see the engage from Olay. He is looking, goes in, but the damage is not there yet. And that's why I feel that this was kind of a mistimed engage. As Doublelift arrives, essentially, the combo has already been expended. That is already down. Aatrox is just joining after all those cooldowns have already been spent. You really want to make sure, with this TL comp, that they are perfectly bursting someone out in that CC chain, and when they don't, these bruisers, these early powerful champions from 100 Thieves are able to find a lot of kills. This fight kind of gets split up, and that's where these compositions, I think, really, really shine, because you have an Aurelia dueling on one side, a Renekton dueling on the other side, and no one really able to kind of focus fire and control them down.
Pretty good damage to the Meteos. That Trundle has been, of course, pretty good in these sort of scrappier fights where you can siphon a lot off of the Galley or someone else. And Pretty equal performance from everyone here, as now the mid lane pressure is in. Team Liquid have 4, and Someday not exactly a wave clear Crocodile. But with the taunt in the front line, Impact now joins all 5 there. Can't quite find the knock-up, a quick charm on a Cody Sun, but now it's a re-engage. Vladimir wants it, he's got some damage and a double. The stun is going to land, but a pretty good QSS gets him away without more than a moment's notice, and will not be any kills.
Not a Captain Jack, but it was Captain W. It was pretty good.
Yeah, maybe it's Lieutenant Jack.
Lieutenant Jack?
Yeah.
Sergeant Jack, perhaps?
Sergeant Jack. I don't actually know the ranks very well.
Neither do I.
Okay. We're going to go with Sergeant below Captain.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Either way, you're going to be able to get out of there with a good QSS. But 100 Thieves do defend the turret. And this is kind of, a lot of people often ask me, you know, in this meta, well, how do these teams, like 100 Thieves are running, well, how do they take turrets? How do you actually do anything about taking objectives, right? Well, a lot of it is, mages actually got buffed, so champions like Vladimir have an AP ratio against turrets, so that does help a lot. You also are playing a lot around forcing fights at objectives. So you go to the dragon, they come, you fight them. You go to the baron, they come, you fight them. Or you're trying to split push and find picks, find dives, these sorts of things. Because it's not about a slow controlled siege situation, it's about constantly pushing the pressure and really finding these fights where you can get the kills and then take the follow-up objectives.
Yeah, and really notably, one of the other ways teams were doing this was Banner of Commander. Right now, it's not being started here for 100 Thieves. They don't seem to think they need it, at least in this game. Of course, that one's going away in 8.12 and has already, but that's not the patch we're playing on here. So we'll see how 100 Thieves want to push their lead. They are only up 400 gold. This one is clearly within reach. Double fit to spike up his next items yet, but I believe he's now got combined cost for Stormrazor. And that'll be a bunch of attack damage, some attack speed, and his first auto attack every several seconds will automatically crit. No, he's actually delaying the build, and Azil picked up. So maybe he is going for full crit, and that pickaxe will turn into a later Mercurial Scimitar or something.
It's definitely possible, but I think in that case, if he does just want to go straight up, say, Shiv into IE, the pickaxe, I think, ends up just being kind of a poor buy because it does really slow down your item completions. I can understand that when he died, you know, if that's how much gold you have and you feel that you need the immediate laning power, then that would be the justification there, but it may also be something like, hey, a Shiv back into the Stormrazor or whatever. So we'll find out as he does go on.
I do want to quickly point out for those who weren't following the patch notes, Infinity Edge no longer has a pickaxe in it. It's double BF sword, so he is precluded from this being optimal. If he is rushing IE, we'll wait to see what he wants to do. Of course, this is the Wild West basically here in the NA LCS. As we once again have 1 minute until the Drake. 100 Thieves won that last fight 2-1. We'll see if they can find their next road into this game.
Yeah, the Zeke's item completion there pretty big for Olay, linking up with Double Lift, and you can see Titanic is done now for for Impact, so that is actually going to be the Titanic into what I'm expecting to be a Rage Blade. That has been kind of the go-to for Aatrox, and that is really where you can start to really turn on. On the other side, you see Someday, and I think he's working towards the Essence Reaver Renekton build, which there was a lot of talk about this a while ago, but if you don't know the interaction, essentially when you press your ultimate, the next attack gives you attack speed buff, but also every time you use a basic attack, it lowers the cooldown on your basic abilities. So what this allows Renekton to do is actually get a combo where he's using his W stun twice, essentially in one engagement in quick succession.
And now a quick succession onto the support. After running out of health, he's going to die, only landing a stun for his troubles. 4v5, Vladimir in the back line, gets some decent damage to the Hemo Blade, but now Galio to re-engage for you. Going to pop his stopwatch for a second, but will still go down. 2-0 Team Liquid win a fight.
And they're going to be able to get access to this Mountain Dragon right off of that. Doublelift holding onto his ult the whole time. You notice this is a different style of play for him on the Xayah. He's not using the ultimate as aggressively as you normally see because there's so many divers. He knows he needs to hold that as a defensive ability, and TL are playing these fights out very, very well, and the game just gets harder for 100 Thieves if they start to fall behind. So we'll see if they can stabilize.
Drake goes down, mid lane outer gonna fall as well. Liquid once again, the pendulum swings back in their favor. The lead about 1,500. They try to steal away the blue buff. Sunday's smiteless. Smithy has it, grabs another objective to steal. As Liquid are crusting well into the mid game. That pick from Olay just so good.
Yeah, that was really, really big for TL, and I just tend to like TL's composition, like their chances because of their composition in this game, a lot more heavily. We see Pobelter is going to be working towards the Zonias, so not full tank, but it is essentially the similar idea, allowing him to buy time in the middle of the fight and be there for peeling, pick up a little bit of CDR for that shorter cooldown on the ultimate, taunt, etc. as well. But this is going to be a tough game, I think, for 100 Thieves. Like, yes, there's always opportunities for them to get that really quick pick and kill Doublelift instantly, but if you don't have a really fantastic engage, the Rakan plus Galio CC, as you naturally have 5 men clumping up, becomes so difficult to deal with. And here is the fight one more time. This is on to Afram, who is a very, very tanky guy. They take him down. Olay is able to find a lot of good CC there, and then the Galio ultimate still was safe, kind of used defensively. That just means Meteos and Someday cannot re-enter the fight. The rest of the members cannot actually come in, or they're going to get locked down by that Galio and taken down too.
Now Kodu-san has paid off his Ancient Coin. He's got the sight still now, and he's going towards the death cap, so his power spike is soon when he has the money. That'll be still a while to go till that, but at least he can play the vision game with his squad. That could be useful up against Team Liquid.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rapid fire first or double lift. I think this makes sense, again, along the lines of how he's playing the game. You know, getting the extra range allows you to kind of more safely play some of the fights, get some hits in here and there, have the extra safety, and he is playing it very defensively, right? He's always holding on to his ultimate to use defensively. He wants to stay on the outside of the fight and wait until these guys have no more cooldowns before entering.
Speaking of play people with cooldowns, that essence review called out is now done for Someday, so I think a very good Renekton fight is going to be pretty incredible. He'll be one to watch for, absolutely. Someday one of the higher profile pickups for the last year or so in the North American LCS. We'll see if he can find something really good to have happen here.
And I'd honestly say this is the strongest point of the game for Renekton. Yeah. You could argue that he's still very, very powerful on 3 items, maybe with a Titanic Hydra, but I would say this is as good as it gets for Someday. He is very high level. The Rage Blade has not been completed for his lane opponent Impact, so if they could find a team fight now around the Triforce for Aurelia, the 2-item power spike here for Someday, Death Cap coming in for Kodu-san, and these sorts of things, that is really going to be their best shot at having a really strong team fight and kind of taking down the game, because as it scales further and further in, it gets tough.
He does have flash though, so the pillar comes in. He's not going to burn that just yet. He's going to Zhonya's the ultimate, and here comes the rest of the team though. This is a bit of a 2v4 as the rest of the team comes across. A slow, a knockup. Here comes the rest of the squad as Xpinity joins in. There's the jump in for Galio as well. They found the taunt, and they're going to get that isolated kill. One comes down as Meteos falls. Into the back line is Someday, but he cannot find the target. Knocked in the air, shut down yet again. A 2-for-0 for Liquid. It's going to be the revive stopping soon for Impact, but even still another clean battle without casualties. The early flash get away. Kodu-san knew better than to wait around a Galio as the turret falls, and Liquid are not to be stopped.
Yeah, they have the Ocean Dragon. They can regen up. They're going to keep going.
Oh, they found the stun after. He's got a flash get away. More summoners lost by 100 Thieves.
This could potentially be them going to Baron. I mean, they have the Ocean. They have Archon to heal them up in this situation, and they're going to go straight onto it. This could be a little bit risky. We'll see if 100 Thieves even feels that they can get out here on the map. They should know this is going on.
Baron's a bit tanky, but does a lot less damage during the fight, and there's no smite available for Meteos. They can burn this down as long as they respect that Ryu's coming around the wings. And here we go with 30,000 or 3,000 health left onto the Baron. Pope goes in for the double taunt. The knockups are there. That's one looking for the second. They're going to get it all, and the team is going to be routed. 100 Thieves off the map, and Team Liquid gets 7 straight kills in a Baron.
They get everything, winning the team fight, cleaning up 3 more kills afterwards, taking the Baron, and this is probably an insurmountable lead. And this is Pobelter delaying with that Zhonya's, being able to buy the time, immuning the ultimate from Ryu, and then Impact goes straight in, stacking up that passive very quickly, hits all his spells, procs his W, pops the ultimate. The whole team is coming in. Watch this flank from Nolan, kind of funny. TV's in behind the team, has to immediately flash back to his team, but if you can't get on double lift, if you can't take him down immediately, there's just too much CC. And then, again, TL not risking it. They have the turn here. Impact over the wall. The taunt flash from Pobelter. Olay there to follow it up too. And
yeah,
100 Thieves is just getting decimated with the Baron buff. Ooh.
NA LCS hopeful, I'm a cutie pie. Double lift showing him what bot lane really looks like. That is an old rivalry down there. Bishu's got more wins than you, dude. Just saying. But this is Liquid.
The 1v1 on stage after.
Yeah, that'll be after the fact. That's the real MVP trophy.
Yeah.
We'll do that one end of the show. But yeah, Liquid on a sizable 6,000 gold lead, and Baron buff still on for 2 minutes and change, and thunk. The Cannon is still shooting down in the mid lane. Pobelter having a pretty good time side laning against Someday as well.
Yeah, I think everyone on TL is going to be having a good time at this point in the game. It's going to be so hard for 100 Thieves to really find something. You know, all these item completions are coming through, and here comes Impact.
Yeah, 2v1, no fair. Someday pops his stopwatch, but he's in the middle of the people. A nice stun comes across. Will they find a good re-engage here, 100 Thieves? They maybe find something to do in the fight as the health bars get lower. Impact, the blood well's running out, gets stopped, has to revive. Is there going to be a good re-engage? A nice flash away. Now a taunt on Vladimir. Kodu-san still wants to find the back line. Olay and Pope would be okay targets, but now the re-engage is going to find a 2-man slow. Look for the next little bit. Not going to find the engage just yet. This will be a small disengage. Ryu and Double now joining the fight as well. Once again, they go in Xpinity. Pops his own stopwatch. Here comes Zole in the back line, finds a knockup on second charm. Galio into the mix as well. First kill gonna come around as Afmu is gone. 5v4 in the battle, a second kill, a third. Finally one straight it back onto Impact, but does it even matter? The shutdowns going through for a couple. This fight getting a little bit closer. Cody-san trying to join in, and he makes it a 1 versus 2. Both are a little bit low, and Double running out of health a little as well. And not a bad defense for 100 Thieves, but they still lost more in the fight.
Yeah, they can continue pushing. Pobelter is just going to TP back. They're going to take at least an inhibitor here. Double took the mid lane tier 2 before he came, and this should be at least one inhib going down. Potentially they could go for an inhibitor turret mid as well, but that may be a bit greedy as respawns are coming out.
Leona is up but 10 seconds. Anyone who else deals
off.
damage. Inhibitor itself will go down, and there is the run backwards. Another great fight for Liquid. 100 Thieves, you saw they had something in them. Ooh, actually nice by Pobelter, able to almost grab mid. He will disengage and likely not be caught.
Yeah, TL kind of botching the dive there on the top lane tier 2. I mean, this was almost all of Pobelter and Impact's health was gone to that turret, right? He actually lost his passive as well, but as Double Lift comes up, he had the IE completion. They know they can look for the re-engage, and they're really just waiting for the AD carry to get up here. Once Double Lift arrives, you see Olay looking on the side. He's going to go straight in, finds a couple, locking them up, and Double just does so much damage at this point of the game. Unless you can take down the Xayah, you cannot win the team fight as 100 Thieves, and they're unable to do so.
We see now in the picture-in-picture as that fight rounds down on the back end of this one. Team Liquid still maintain map control. Another Drake picked up their second mountain here. Stacking all the objective Drakes pretty easily on this. And as the reset comes in, there is the damage champions that last fight. As you mentioned, Double is finally coming online. Infinity Edge now done for him as well, so he is going for that crit build after all.
Yep, and he bought a Mercurial and a Hexdrinker on top of that. I mean, he is ridiculously strong now. It's getting harder and harder to actually burst him down. He's going to have his flash available, his ultimate available, and his QSS for this next fight.
Yep.
Which is going to make it so tricky for 100 Thieves to get in. And this mid lane turret is an auto or two away from going down.
As the siege maybe continues, we'll see how good the wave clear is for 100 Thieves. Only one ranged champion, but Baron buff is gone.
But all they really need to do is wait for Impact to push in this bottom lane, wait for the super minions to push in top, and that's going to start to pull 100 Thieves apart. That's going to start to open up these opportunities for Double Lift to walk forward with his rapid fire and get in a hit here or there. For 100 Thieves, it's all about one perfect fight. They have to find the engage. They have to take down Double Lift.
Ooh, almost found a little bit ults to get away from it. No major CC to be had. A big root in the front line. They picked off Afmu already. Looking for the second as Meteos runs, but the pillar runs away. But Ryu's going to fall. A double kill so far for Double Lift. Now into the base as a flash over the wall. Smithy is going to fall. But now the chase in. Cody-san trying to run. He's channeling, and he is done. Double Lift on his third. He is legendary. The Xayah. Only a single drop in the entire game. Inhibitor to fall. They're ready to go for Nexus turrets and take down them all. Team Liquid running a pretty standard composition and showing up their first game of the summer split, picking up where they left off with an undefeated game against 100 Thieves. Another kill to come across. They just bounce house this poor Renekton. Someday is going to drop. Comes back again. Still a death as he runs back towards the Nexus. I guess he'll live. The Nexus falls. It's all that matters. Team Liquid start the season well.
A very strong first game here for TL. Saw some makings of of some opportunities there for 100 Thieves, but really when you run this sort of composition and you fall behind, there's such an incredible amount of crowd control for TL. And by nature, the 100 Thieves comp has to ball up to engage. It's one of those situations where it's 5 people all trying to dive towards the AD carry. If that is happening, well, you're all into the Galio taunt. You're all into the knock-up here from Aatrox and the CC as well from that Rakan. It becomes very difficult to actually get to Double Lift. And we saw in those late game team fights, if you can't get to him, Marksmen are still incredibly strong. He put out by far the most damage and was really, Double Lift said before the game, oh, well, it's not really about 80 carries. This game was about Double.
Yeah, it was by the end of it all. I mean, first blood at literally level 1 for his opponents. I think they got 2 really quickly and then used that spike. Of course, kind of unfortunate. Cody-san, maybe his first game jitters did not flash either of the crowd controls coming in. But yes, very well played to Team Liquid. Well played to Double Lift, taking control of that game. There were moments where Thieves came back. Top lane went well for somebody, despite the fact that a single gank came in from Xmithie and burned the Renekton flash. They came back, brought people, brought the Rift Herald, first turret top lane. That Renekton started snowballing in the early game. There were a couple of good Drake fights as well, but Mid-game rolled around, Liquid played it better.
Yeah, they certainly did. And one of the kind of untold stories there was just how well Pobelter was actually laning. I mean, he had a significant CS advantage just on his own in the 1v1.
Yeah.
So the fact that, Someday was at this really strong point. He hit 2 items very early on, but his mid laner is just still on 1 item. They weren't really all kind of hitting their power spikes at the times that they would have needed or wanted to try to really get a big fight, because you have to get these early fights. You have to play around your 1 and 2 item completions when you're running these full dive teams, because you do simply get outscaled by crit AD carries, by someone like the Xayah. It's too hard in the later stages of the game.
Yeah.
And I'd also say for TL, it's encouraging that Impact showed up on a non-tank and performed well, because there was multiple tank bans, and if he can play another style for TL, it's going to mean good things for them this season.
Yeah, I do think Someday had maybe a slightly better time in lane than him, but also he got counterpick, so some of that's forgivable. Like, you played fighter with counterpick. You're not supposed to win that lane. So, you can forgive a lot of anything that Impact might have been down for in that one. But now, to help break down the first game of the split, let's send it back to the State Farm analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Freak. Avali's going to be catching up with Doublelift in just a moment to hear about their Game 1 win of the split. But our defending champions beating the rematch rivalry, defending that title exactly here in Game 1 against 100 Thieves. And I want to dive right into the champion picks as we saw them, because it was a lot of our discussion coming into the top of the day was how would it develop here in North America.
And it's very funny because we're hyping up like all the new crazy stuff that happens, and TL actually go back to a very old comp that's been around for a year plus, with the Camille Galio combination, locking people down, comboing that together with Xayah Rakan, which is something that's still seen a little bit in the current meta. The one new adaptation that has started to see a lot of prevalence is that Aatrox in the top lane.
Yeah, and it's still just a top lane priority pick plus a tremendous engage combo.
Yep.
And this is a game that I feel like challenged a little bit about how well you can play your champion, right? How comfortable can you be on these picks? Because I actually think from a theory perspective, I like 100 Thieves draft because the Camille Galio specifically is used to pick off squishy damage dealers, get rid of the tools and the cannons in the back of the team composition with his unstoppable engage, and then winning the fight. But you look at 100 Thieves team comp, and there's actually no one that makes perfect sense to dive onto, but therefore, Team Liquid just has to play better, right? They were always the ones finding the initiations. I did not think like 100 Thieves was particularly good at Aurelia or Vladimir and missed a lot of spells in team fights. And Team Liquid completely outplayed them.
Yeah, the team fights to come, but I do want to talk about the laning phase and how these lanes interact, because once again, we've got a Vlad and a Leona against a Xayah Rakan. So traditional bot lane against new bot lane. Mark, break it down for us.
So a lot of the...
Oh, he's dead.
I mean, this is not anything new. Like, a lot of people see all the crazy stuff happening, but it's the same stuff that's been in the game forever. You need to understand level 2 for the enemy team, back off. Everyone's been dying to Leona level 2 all-ins forever. It happens again here, but this time with Rakan.
Yeah.
But this is what it's supposed to do.
And then now, once you're level 6 and 7, boom. That's the burst of the combo. I think the Vladimir had an needlessly large rod at that point, so it's a huge amount of burst with Leona. That's the fear of both ends. So you could see, I think, a small level of unfamiliarity with both sides. The Vladimir not having heal, disrespecting level 2, which even if you have heal, you need to respect the level 2.
Back the heck off.
Yeah, and it's about kind of like why these bot lane mages and bruisers start showing up is because they spike harder on one item. You know, like you saw Doublelift have QSS, a BF sword, a pickaxe, and like a lot of random stuff. Whereas like you can go Spellbinder, Protobelt, or the Oblivion Orb or something for double pen on the Vladimir right away and start all-inning at 6 like you saw, but you need to get there first, and the fact that they couldn't execute on that part of the laning phase put them behind from then on.
Now I want to return to the point you were making earlier about the way that these team comps interact in the team fight phase. Team Liquid wanting to zero somebody out, but who exactly do you target on this 100 Thieves team?
Right, this time they're actually targeting Leona, who has the W armor and MR up, then still able to proc Aftershock later in the fight. They spend so much time trying to chase after the Leona, but they forget about the rest of the fight and any of the actual 4 damage dealers that are on 100 Thieves. This is the type of fight that 100 Thieves would be much more okay with, where they actually are grouped at the start and can kind of dissuade the initiation or absorb it, so to speak, with some of their bruisers. But even in that fight, you see Someday missing his E over the wall. You see Cody's son not necessarily playing it that cleanly. A little bit of misplay, whereas Team Liquid really played with comfort and I think proved that you still can do a lot of these things. 27,000 damage, 80 carry. It's like MSI.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even though the meta is basically broken open, like Vladimir, Aurelia, Renekton, those are all way more quote-unquote meta that you see in international play in Korea and the LPL and things like that. But you can just play what you're good at right now, and that's kind of proven by Double If. You're like, let's just play Zyracon. Like, we don't need to go anything crazy. This is still strong enough to win games, and I think that's what's super cool about the meta right now is you should play to your team's strengths, not just the meta.
And the game just cresting that 30-minute mark, Jet. That's kind of where we finally saw the Xayah pick come to fruition. Once that Infinity Edge is completed, all of that true damage, all of a sudden you can eat through those 4 bruisers on the opposing team. And so by all means, 80 carries, our marksmen are still alive in that position. And so then it does come down to a question of, if you're building a team comp, do you index towards a player's strengths on these specific types of champions?
Yes.
Or do you try, right? Or do you try and follow the meta of metas as decided by other regions?
Yeah, it totally depends on the team, and it's not always about the team composition. I think, contrary to popular belief, you go back a year ago, the things that would make a champion useless or overpowered are actually things like 5 AD or 20 seconds on the cooldown of a spell.
Right.
Right? Like, how well you play a champion is so much more important than the 5 AD that is there. So I do think that crit carries generally turn on too late right now.
Okay.
So I think if you're perfect, you're going to be playing the Vladimirs. But Doublelift was playing the perfect Rakan. Cody Sun was not playing the perfect Vladimir. Doublelift was much better.
There you have it. The defending champs pick up their first win of the split. To hear more about that game, let's send it over to Avli and Team Liquid's bot laner.
Xayah.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Doublelift, and would you look at that? You moved from Travis Gafford's couch to mine. Congratulations on your congratulations on your victory. I'm gonna ask you questions about the game now, okay? This was actually kind of like a rematch for 100 Thieves against you guys, since this was the spring finals game. Were you expecting them to come in hot against you?
I was expecting, like, the meta's really wild right now. That's what everyone's talking about. So I was expecting, you know, them to come out swinging and really just show their like craziest strat, because this is like a rematch of the finals. You can tell it's crazy because Dash referenced, let's bring it over to Team Liquid's bot laner, not AD carry. So it's like it's really nuts now. You can play pretty much anything in any role, like support mid laners, Faker's playing Taric, like. Previously, tank junglers were, and then now they're switching and playing like Mastery and getting 200 CS in 10 minutes. So I think this match, like I didn't really know what to expect. I just knew like I was really confident in the bottom matchup. So it ended up doing pretty good. I got first blood at like 2 minutes. That was nice.
Well, I spoke with Kane before the game, and he said that you guys felt prepared coming in, but that when it came to the meta and everything, he still didn't really know what to expect. So what's it like kind of preparing for these games?
I don't think there's any way you can prepare for a team other than kind of looking at their solo queue, because it indicates like this is what they're investing some time into. And even then, it's like you can have players who invest a lot of time into stuff and they find out that it doesn't actually work out well in like scrims, or at the end of the week they're like, oh, you know what, that was like I played like 10 games of Heimerdinger, but like it's just not good, or it is good. So preparation wise, we just kind of focus on ourselves. I think like our team, we don't really care what the other teams are doing that much in the end. We just want to know like what works for our team, and you know, what works for our team sometimes is just like having a bunch of CC champions and an AD carry, and sometimes it won't be that.
So without asking you to reveal too many of your secrets, we did see you on the traditional bot lane champ, Xayah. Will we see you experiment with anything else in the bot lane in the future?
Yeah, I've been super experimental with bot lane because I think it's really cool that you can be creative. And I'm still struggling to find like a way to be just like relevant in every game and just try to like have a really high game impact. But you know, sometimes I'll stumble across something that I think is really cool, and then we put a lot of time into it as a team, and then you know my teammates give me feedback back and forth. So I think I'm ready to bust out some crazy stuff. And in the first game, you know, we didn't have to, which was a really big relief. But in the like next few games, I think you know, you're gonna see some really insane stuff.
Ooh, I'm excited. You guys actually only got a little bit of a break before the start of the summer split because you came back from MSI. So how was that entire experience, and what did you really learn from it?
Well, yeah, the MSI experience was not what I expected. I came in, I was like, I'm gonna get stomped, and then you know, I was really kind of fearful of that, and then I went on stage, and I guess just because I had such low expectations of myself, I was able to kind of like just playing at my usual level, and then I was surprised that like, oh, I guess my like usual level is good enough. And then I coming back to NA, I said something along the lines of like, oh, you know, I'm going from Uzi and Betty and Prey, world class like best AD carries in their region and stuff, to going back to playing against like Sneaky. But now even Sneaky's not here, so it's like now I'm just going back to playing against like Keith and Cody Sun and players. I think you know, they're definitely strong for North America, but and you know, their teams are super strong and well put together, but there's just a different level, I think. And I learned a lot from MSI, and I think I can definitely just like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be easy, but it's gonna be you know, it's like my only real enemy is myself.
What were your personal thoughts on the whole Cloud9 swaparoo?
Wow.
Wow, just
Yeah,
wow.
just wow. Yeah, I mean, Golden Glue and Keith.
Now, did you have or do you have any kind of personal goals coming into this summer split, either for yourself or for the team? You've been here a while. Is MVP kind of on the horizon for you?
Dude, everyone always says that every split. I never get it. It sucks. I just whatever, dude. I gave up on MVP when Rush took it from me in season 5. Like, are you serious? That was insane. Every time I think I'm playing super well and then I don't get MVP, I'm just like, man, whatever. I like lose my interest in it.
Okay, well, fingers crossed for you for the rest of the split, but congratulations again on your victory. And for everyone else, stick around because after our quick commercial, we're going to see TSM take on CLG.